Good afternoon. How are you? Well, I'm out. It's Thomas Jefferson says the temperature's a cool 50 degrees and the humidity's down in the 30s and the wind's at 4 miles an hour. So that could change. The only thing I really feel is the cold. I have to be short because I realize I have to get in my car and run to a soil and water conservation district meeting. But let me underscore a couple of things I'm thinking about and see if you have the same reaction. First of all, I find it very difficult to wrap my mind as a former prosecutor around a prosecutor who is working so hard to delay what's going on in the federal prosecution of Trump and working so hard to write a report about it when we've seen how successful these reports are of causing anything at all to happen. So as a genetic Irishman, I understand the ability of talk, but I think the ability of talk is also to change things, and if action doesn't follow the talk, it's that old expression, full of sound and fury signifying nothing. And we have to do better than that. We can't afford to do less than that. So one thing is that just, tears me apart in terms of my identity of what a prosecutor is, having seen disappointments and having the prosecutor talk about quitting. And there'll be hundreds of explanations why. And, just like Mueller was under the thumb of Barr, I suspect that's pretty much the same here. But I don't think that discounts the responsibility of the not-so-special counsel, Smith, to stand up and do something like some prosecutors have done before. It's part of the deal. And in the Southern District of New York, some of us supposedly were under threat. Our witnesses were killed and so forth. So it's an element of these cases. And you try to deal with it by being protected. Plainly, they didn't kill me, and a lot of others. But as I've mentioned in another presentation, there was a prosecutor down in Texas that they shot at, and we don't know if they wanted to scare him or they really wanted to hit him, but he had the presence of mind to lay on the floor of his car. But the federal judge in that case was shot and was killed. So it does happen. Justice doesn't come easy. The vote doesn't come easy. Equal rights don't come easy. Getting rid of a corrupt president doesn't come easy. And then the second part of it is, while I can't imagine a person who would be appointed to become Attorney General who, that I'd agree with, but I would expect that he or she would have a list of cognizable talents at the law. They would have practiced for more than 2 years. They would have been a prosecutor. They probably clerked. They've probably been in private practice or not. The whole variety of these things that come with getting the practice that leads to the wisdom of not only how to choose a case, how to prosecute it, and how to present to the people that your work is worthy of their trust. And instead, we've chosen a fella. When I say we, excuse me, I had nothing to do with it. Trump has chosen a fella. And you have to scratch your head and wonder, what are the elements of that? And people are talking about how Gates has attacked the department and so on and so forth. And they miss the obvious question. Why would Trump want somebody who would do his bidding to be in charge of the Department of Justice, so-called? And the answer is to take care of Trump's cases. He's not putting them there to wreak havoc for the congressman's purposes, although he may do that and he'd be fine with it. He wants him there to get rid of the cases against himself. It has been the dominant thing that has pushed Trump from the beginning until now. Is anybody talking about that? No. Why isn't that the most obvious question to ask, to pose? Now, what is a silver lining? Well, there's somewhat of a silver lining, maybe, on the appointment of Getz, because the investigation in the House into his alleged sexual misconduct and other things, is the subject of a report by the House Ethics Committee. And Senator Durbin, over on the Senate side, has already asked that that report be given to them. And I'm sure others will want it as well. And that Trump's push to have the senators forego their constitutional right and obligation to advise the president of his nominations and to consent to them or not has probably gotten a lot stronger among the senators, who are quite wary of ceding more power to the president and diminishing themselves, because they're not there just to occupy chairs. They have their own personal energy, dreams, ambitions, and whatever other things that would describe them in a less laudatory manner. So, and we can't ignore the fact that through history in this nation and elsewhere, it's similar, that when all three departments of the government are beholden to any one set of values, that they have internecine warfare between and among themselves. And what does that mean? That means the Senate might want to show its independence by not letting Getz get too far and by releasing some of the information. Also, there's somewhat of a silver lining when I see that some Republicans are objecting and protesting to what's going on. So that is in terms of having Getz. Some are a little more reserved, saying things like, well, I'll wait and see what happens at the hearings. And so the efforts to have Thune, who is the Republican who is now the majority leader in the Senate, chosen a day ago, and he had been ambivalent about ceding their power to advise and consent to Trump, sort of saying, we'll look at it, which was one of those kind of in-between postures of which Trump is such a master. So what I'm suggesting is there is some likelihood that we will stop Getz. But whether it's Getz or someone else, the policy changes are going to be terrible, and not just, up to and including whomever gets into that position. I assume the talk is going to be, you're going to go and dismiss the cases against Trump. Me. So there's that. As for the current Department of Justice, how it could possibly redeem itself, well, when you duck every fight that comes, I don't know how you can be called prosecute to go forward and do something, and a report is just so much BS. We don't need that. So I will finish up my somewhat chilly walk and get on my horse, my car, and go to my meeting in the Soil and Water Conservation District, which will be constructive and informative and pleasant and have nothing to do with the grand apolitical system that we now inhabit. So I say goodbye to you from my treeless roadway right here, and I hope to talk to you tomorrow. All the best. Bye-bye.